What's up, everyone? I am 7-Star Mike, and today I want to show you exactly why flow trading works. Now, this is a trade we took last week. It actually turned against us for a little bit, and I was getting messages from people asking if I was still in the trade, how long I'm going to stay in the trade, how I'm managing the trade. I'm going to show you exactly why I stayed in the trade, and this is exactly why flow trading works. Let's take a look at TJX. Now, I'm going to use a specific options scanner. I do use Blackbox stocks to show me this unusual options activity. If you guys need an unusual options activity scanner, this is real-time data. We've got an entire community that shows you how to use it all day long during and after market hours. I'm going to put a link in the description below that'll give you a 20% discount off your first month if you need a scanner like this. Now, here's the trade. TJX, I'm on historical here, and this is back to 1028. That's when we took the trade. So on 1028, we saw some flow for TJX, but then we saw these 12, 18, 52, 50s hit. They hit them over and over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times right there in a row. So what I want to do is isolate to show you guys just that specific contract. So these are the 12, 18, 50, 250s. We like these because it was 198,000, followed by 131,000, followed by 260, 184, 87, and a $1.93 million block. Now this block was preceded by some sweeps, so all said and done, this is a few $1,000,000 put into TJX. That's the type of flow we're looking for. We want to see aggressive buying from the big money. When you see multiple millions going into a specific contract, that's one of the things we're looking for. So we took this TJX flow. Now I got in at 342. So the flow started at 330, 340, it went to 350. My fill was 342. So one of the DMs I was getting at this point here, you can see it dropped, was, Mike, why are you still in this trade? So this was the day the flow came in. This was up here at, I got filled again at 342. You can see it dropped pretty much right away. We got a little bounce and then it went down to 225. 342 to 225, but I did not sell it. And the reason why, and people were sending me DMs saying, how long are you going to stay in this trade? Let's go back to the flow. If you look at this, this is all of the flow from the 28th up through today. And you can see that the initial buyers of this contract never closed out. So since they didn't close out of their position, that was my cue to not close out of mine. Now, we do ask you guys all the time, manage your trades to your account. So that doesn't mean if these guys stay in the trade, you have to. But this type of trade with this type of flow, I'm going to stay in this one a little bit longer if it goes against me than I normally would for my own trades. Because these guys have $3 or $4 million into the position and they're okay if it drops that much. So I'm okay if it drops that much for my smaller position. I do not have millions of dollars in this position. They do. So I'm kind of using their cue as to what they're doing to manage the trade. Now we go back to this. So I'm in at 342. I watch it drop to 225, but I notice that the initial buyers of that contract did not close out. And look what happens today. It runs all the way up to 410. Now I got out of this one at 4. The spread at the time was 4 by 420. And I got the worst fill. I got the bid on it. So I got out at 4, even though someone else was able to get out at 410. I'm not too concerned about 10 cents on a contract. So 342 to 4. We did have to sit through this big downturn. But again, if you look at the flow, the initial buyers here, there's no flow indicating that they exited their position. So here's the technical analysis on it. This chart's going to look a little bit busier than normally what you see from me, but there's a reason why I want to show you all of this. You can see when it gapped down over here, this is where it found resistance. So I drew this shadow box that has some support here. So the shadow box is kind of what I was watching. When it dropped down here, I used the low of this candle to put a line there, and that was kind of like the, oh crap, if it gets to this level, I might start looking at it and seeing if I want to exit, even if the initial buyers didn't. But I stayed in it because it bounced off of that line. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see it did actually break that line by, I think, 6 cents. So I'm not too concerned about that. And then it did close well above it. So why did I exit the trade today? There's actually 2 reasons why. First, we have this gap to fill over here, and you can see that we actually did fill that gap. We went right up to that level, and then we pulled back just a little bit. So because it filled the gap, I'm comfortable closing out the trade. And the other reason is the election is tonight. Today and tonight, the election is going on. I don't really want to hold positions through that, so I just closed this out because it filled the gap. There's uncertainty with the election, and I was just taking the gains that I had on it. Now, here's the 1 minute chart for today. So you can see this is the level that it had to break above to fill that gap. And once it did, this is the level of the gap fill. So we had the shadow box that I was looking at. It opened above that and just went straight up to the gap level. And then we bounced around a little bit, but you can see it found support there, and then it went right up to fill the gap. And then it did pull back a little bit. What it does from now on, I don't care because I am out of the trade already. This is why we follow this flow. It was multiple millions into this contract. These buyers never flipped out of it, so I didn't either. In at 342, out at 4, even though you had to sit through a little bit of downturn. So there was a loss on this for a long time. If you held through that, you got out with green. The reason we held through that is because the initial buyers didn't close their position, so I didn't close mine. I did today, even though they didn't, because again, it did fill the gap and I don't want to hold through the election. That's why flow trading works. We follow the big money. They put their millions into the market. We follow them, we take their lead, and we profit. If you have any questions, up at the top of your screen there's plenty of ways you can reach out to me. Remember, if you need a scanner like this, there's a link in the description below to get you a discount off your first month for this particular scanner. If you join, send me a message. I will personally walk you through how to set this up, but this is how we use flow to make profits.